Hello people, I'm Data from JGX and we are here with some interesting news about the skill tree. They want to change it again. Is it good? Is it bad? I think that it's good. It's a good thing. But there are some mistakes here and there that I'll point out in a minute. So what's going on here? What is the problem right now? The problem right now is that it's a mess. In order to get the stuff that you want, you need to go through stuff that you don't want. It's overcomplicated, and for somebody who approaches the game right now, he just won't understand anything. It's just a mess. This is a mess. Say, for example, I'm an adder with PPCs, and to get all the nodes that I want related to the weapons that I'm using, I need to go through nodes that my weapons don't use at all. I have PPCs. Maybe I want extra range, I want extra velocity, but I need to go through magazine capacity and I don't need it. Laser duration, I'm not using lasers. Missile racks, I'm not using missiles. Or maybe I need to go through AMS overload or shock absorbance. Maybe if I don't have jump jets, I'm not on a Pop-Tart mech. Maybe I don't need shock absorbance. If my mech already has pretty high crit chance receiving quirk, I don't need reinforced casing. Or maybe my mech lacks acceleration, but not deceleration. So I want all the acceleration without the deceleration. Or I already have a good anchor turn, so I don't want anchor turn, torso pitch to get to something. So these are the problems with the current tree. It's a mess, and the stuff is scattered all over the place. As a cauldron, we suggested them to reduce also the amount of the nodes, but if you change the nodes, then people would have to reskill everything. And this is the beauty of this new skill tree that PGI did, that you won't have to reskill your mechs, like what happened in 2017. And this is very important. You will not have to skill again your mechs because PGI is not changing the nodes. PGI is changing the path where the nodes are. So let's look at this. Say if you want cooldown, you'll be able to take all the cooldown, and that's it. You want the range without the cooldown. You won't be forced to take cooldown if you just want range or heat. Same with the rest. So if I have PPCs, for example, I want just range, heat, and velocity. I can take these without having to take cooldown or laser duration that I don't even need because I have PPCs. Same with the survival. On some mechs, you may want to prioritize skeletal density. On some others, you may want to prioritize armor hardening. Why? Because, as I've said in my previous skill tree video, the skill tree buffs the quirks. So if you have a mech with massive skeletal density quirks, you want to prioritize skeletal density. Instead, if your mech is massively quirked on armor, you want to prioritize armor hardening because these buffs will actually buff the quirks as well on top of the base value. So you get a double buff. Or for example, you have an assault mech. Assault mechs basically, strangely enough, almost don't benefit at all from the survival tree because the percentages on the assault mechs are abysmally low. It basically doesn't make sense. Look at how low they are, 1.2%, compared on a 90 tonner compared to, I don't know, 30 tonner, 2.4. So maybe you don't want those. You just want to take the crit chance receiving, so your stuff doesn't get crit as often. Now you can do that. That's all. That's good. That's good. Let's look into the other stuff. shock absorbance. If you have a Pop-Tart, you can just go entirely for the whole shock absorbance. AMS, if you just want to buff your AMS without going through all the other stuff. So maybe, let's say that you want to put just a couple of stuff on AMS without having to take all the rest. Now I must take these ones that maybe I don't want. I can go just double AMS overload. Let's see. We have, okay, it works also for the acceleration. Of course, some very strong nodes like speed tweak have been put after the acceleration because it would be just too strong to have the entire speed tweak right at the beginning. It would just become a free speed buff for all the mechs because all the mechs would start by just taking speed tweak at the very beginning. Okay, anchor turn, the jump jets. Yeah, maybe you want just heat shielding on jump jets if your mech is running very hot. This is very useful on mechs that have a lot of jump jets and need a sustained DPS. For example, on a Mistlynx or on a Viper, it's actually very useful to go just for the heat shielding because even on top of operations, because the amount of heat that you generate through the jump jets is insane, and you want to mitigate that with heat shielding. Maybe in comp you need a mech to get on top of a certain building, and rather than adding a second jump jet, you put one jump jet and you put all the lift speed or the vent calibration. Vectoring is actually controversial. Basically, it fucks up with some jump jet animations, like for example on the hero Banshee that came with Solaris. The hero Banshee that came with Solaris. Yeah, this one. This one, we did some tests with this one and some other mechs. If you put full vectoring and you jump jet and you go back and forth, basically it bugs and glitches the jump jet animation even further. And this is something that people actually don't know. And let's see. Seismic sensor, of course, is past some other nodes, because otherwise, again, it would be just too strong. You would take double seismic sensor straight away. And yeah, with the consumables, pretty much the same thing. If you want double strike and double cool shot, or double strike and WAV, same thing that you have right now. Not that much of a difference. Narc, just you buff it straight away. And this is the problem that I can foresee. What's happening here? They put target decay on their own. Basically, this adds this amount of time in seconds to the time that your mech usually has before you lose the lock. So you lock somebody, and when the enemy mech hides, it will stay locked for a certain amount of time. These nodes add extra time to that timer. So you keep it locked for longer, even if the enemy mech is hidden. These nodes instead, radar deprivation, if equipped on the mech that is hiding, do the exact opposite. So what's the problem here? If you compare having ECM, properly working ECM, because default ECM it's pretty useless, they lock you anyways. You need at least one node to make ECM work properly. So imagine having an ECM mech, a non-ECM mech with radar deprivation, and a Lermer. What is the strongest counter to a learn boat? Having radar deprivation or having ECM? Of course, having ECM is a better counter to a learn boat than having radar deprivation. But again, the problem is that they addressed radar deprivation as if it was stronger than having ECM, and it isn't so, because equipping one mech with a mech with ECM and one node is clearly stronger against LRM boats than having full radar deprivation. So it's the problem was that radar deprivation costs too much, and it still costs too much compared to ECM, to a functioning ECM. And the problem got exacerbated by the fact that target decay got put out of the tree. While right now, target decay is in here, is in the middle of the rest. So right now, if you have a learn boat, you still have to go through a lot of stuff to take target decay, which is the most valuable node for a learn boat. And now it's easier for a learn boat to take all of these nodes. These 5 nodes for learn boat are the most important nodes of all the tree. Because again, they increase the amount of time a mech is trackable when it leaves the line of sight. So when they hide, they stay locked for longer. But radar deprivation is not, this was made easier, and this was not made easier. So what's going to happen here is that the way this is done, it's going to make the game more cancer for those who don't have radar deprivation, because they will stay locked basically forever, because it's way easier to access to these nodes right now. This is something that I don't like at all. So the solution is that at least 3 radar deprivation, because having 3 radar deprivation nodes is not OP at all. It's actually very balanced. The first 3 nodes should have been either by their own way, like on the side, or at the very beginning. Like here I see that sensor range was used as a way to nerf radar deprivation and full ECM. Makes sense, but the first 3 nodes, if these ones stay on their own side, the first 3 nodes, so radar deprivation 60%, should be at the very beginning. So you take at least 60% radar deprivation, and then you have to go your way through for the other 2 nodes, because actually 100% radar deprivation is OP, because you can have even 20 seconds of target decay, but if you have 100% radar deprivation, 100% radar deprivation reduces the target decay by 100%. So you can even have 40 trillions of seconds, it still gets reduced by 100%, and the enemy still loses the lock on you instantly. So it makes sense that radar deprivation 100% is at the bottom, but at least the first nodes should be at the top. Or target decay should be like at the edges of these 3 and should be harder to get as well. There are just many possible solutions to this one. One of these should be taken, because the way it is right now, this is a buff to learn boats. As for the rest, I'm overall very excited because they are also going to reduce the cost per node, because honestly, guys, it's a fucking cancer to level up a mech. Thanks God I never had to level up a single mech, because with the refund of 2017, I got so much XP, GXP and stuff that I basically leveled the entire game with the red points and the GXP. But for new people, it's cancer. The nodes cost too much time investment, too much grind to get a properly functioning mech. So I'm very happy that they are reducing the node cost. This is going to help the new people that are trying to come into the game. So overall, this is very good, because I repeat, you won't have to change your nodes. You won't have to reskill everything. The Macs will stay the way you have them right now, and you'll be able to change some nodes here and there. But you won't have to reskill everything from scratch like it happened in 2017. So this is actually very good and very user-friendly. The idea overall is great. The only minor issues is this one on the radar deprivation and target decay, but I hope honestly that PGI will fix this. I'm done. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of content. If so, remember to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, share the content with your friends, and I'll catch you guys next time.